Matter of fact, this particular ossuary gained quite a bit of attention. For about 6 or 7 years ago, they found an inscription on the outside of it that said, James bar Joseph, brother of Yeshua. So who would that be? It's the half-brother, the one who wrote James in the New Testament. They actually found his ossuary, and it caused all kinds of stir. It's interesting because when I first saw it, that inscription is really quite neat. Normally when you find these inscriptions, they're just scratched, like scribbled on the outside. That's a pretty nice inscription. You wouldn't spend a whole lot of time making the inscription nice and neat because this ossuary is going to be in a tomb somewhere. And so it makes sense that when you find them, they're just kind of notes, because it's like the family are arranging. You say, whose bones are these? Can't remember. It's like when you're going through the photo album, you say, who's that? I need to get Granny to look at this and write the name on the back, that kind of thing. Well, they would do that in the ossuaries. Inside the tombs, they'd look and say, whose bones is this? I don't know. And, well, Granny knows, and they would scratch whose it was on the side. But that's very nice, and so that would suggest from the beginning that it may be a forgery. They began to do a detailed study around it. I don't know if I have a closer image, where they took samples from inside the inscription and around the inscription, and then on the outside of the sarcophagus, on the ends, on the other side, and they compared them. And what they discovered is that the patina, the crusting that takes place on the surface in this area, has radiolaria in it, but once you get beyond that, there's no radiolaria. Radiolaria are little small microscopic organisms that exist in seawater. And so the fact that you find radiolaria in the patina around this area, but you don't beyond it, would suggest it's a forgery, that someone cut this inscription in an old sarcophagus. They found an old sarcophagus, they cut the inscription in it, and they put seawater right around it to get it to age over maybe a 2 or 3 year period. They shouldn't have used seawater. If they had just used tap water with salt, they may have gotten away with it. But the fact they use seawater to age it shows that it's a forgery. So I don't know of any archaeologists that believe this is really the sarcophagus of James, just a trick.